Next question up says, while I'm aware the results are different for each individual, I'm wondering if there's a rough estimate on correlation between strength gains and caloric intake. I'm at the point where I've made serious gains in strength while in a surplus and got my estimated Wilks up to 412 from 380 in 3 months. I'm 33 years old, so I kind of want to be competitive ASAP, and my total right now at 91 kilos gets 412 Wilks, but would be 433 if I went down to 83 kilos. I'm wondering, will the 8 kilos cut spread over the next 5 months get me to a 450 Wilks, or would the rate of gain be much faster in maintenance to hit 450 Wilks at 93 kilos, assuming the rate continues the upward trend? So weight cut question. Basically, what you're asking is, should you diet down to 83 kilos or not? And how might that affect your strength? It's interesting because the initial question that you asked about being in caloric surplus versus caloric deficit and how that affects overall strength levels, the common wisdom is to say that being in a caloric deficit does affect strength levels, and I'm inclined to agree. However, I would caveat that and say that I don't think it affects it as much as we sometimes lead ourselves to believe. For example, I've been on some pretty, for me, serious caloric deficits and still managed to increase my strength. Now, when I came off the deficit, I increased at a faster rate, so there's that to consider as well. Also, last year when we ran Project Momentum, we asked lifters if they were on caloric surplus, maintenance, or deficit, and there was not a significant difference in results between the three groups. All of them gained roughly equivalent amounts of strength, although there were not enough people, I would say there were not enough people in either the surplus or the deficit group to really draw great comparisons. It did kind of lead us to think that, okay, yeah, I mean, there's obviously some difference, especially if taken to extreme. But a small difference or a small deficit rather probably doesn't affect things as much as we maybe like to believe. Now, back to the original question on whether you should diet down to 83 kilos or not. I think there's a better way to get at that question, and there's a better way to figure out if this is for you or not. The way to do that would be to first, let's assess what your body fat is. If you've got excess body fat to lose, then all right, that is a mark in favor of making the weight cut. If you don't have a lot of excess body fat to lose, like more than other people in your weight class, then you may want to consider staying put. Beyond that, the next thing that you can do would be to start a weight cut. Just start it at a moderate pace and see what happens to your Wilks score. On the dashboard on the RTS website, on your training log, there's a dashboard, and if you scroll down, there is a rolling Wilks total. Now, if you look at that Wilks total and you start going into a caloric deficit and that Wilks starts to go down, then you know that's maybe not the right direction for you. I think that's a really great way of individualizing whether or not you should be gaining or losing weight, is to see what happens to your Wilks score when you do. That's kind of how we get started on that question. Let me know your thoughts and we can continue the discussion.